Hi there. Good afternoon. Today's 11/11. How about that? Uh, Happy 11/11. Today I'm going to talk about, uh, uh, well, I might do two videos, like little short ones in a row, and then post them. The first one, well, with all things that I share in this series, is based on pretty much one of two things: data that I got directly from Hilarious, and or my own experiences and insights from those experiences, or insights that I've gotten through experiences based on Hilarious's data, if that makes sense, but I think it does. So anyway, I'm gonna share this one experience. And like I said, everything is, whether you believe me or not, this is what happened. Uh, and I don't make nothing up, anything up. It's my experiences. This was back in the early 90s. Georgianne and I were driving down the road we left Chicago on a Friday night. We're on our way to Southern California to deliver Monday morning. And, we run teams, so we'll be there bright and early Monday morning to deliver. And it was about 7 or 8 at night. It's dark. And we were talking about something. We might have been arguing. I think we were arguing because out of nowhere, this energy just burst out of me and just turned to her and yelled at her. The force was so hard, it slammed her into the passenger seat, the passenger door, and she actually had a bruise. That's how strong the energy and the force that emanated from this body. And shocked me, shocked her. We had no clue what happened. And the moment it happened, and I was driving. I went back to watching what I was doing, going down the road. Now we're in the big truck and it's like 65 miles an hour and it's dark out and this is all happening. And so I'm driving down the road and all of a sudden I had this internal struggle. There was something inside of me that wasn't me. I had been aware of it for years, and I'll backtrack in a minute. I had been aware of it for years and I knew it wasn't me. But I had this internal battle. I mean, it just seemed like it lasts forever, but I think it might have lasted in the elapsed time of maybe 2 or 3 minutes. And Georgiana's just sitting there watching me. Well, what happened is I was having this internal battle of control over me, control over my body, basically control over my body. So I won. And that energy that I was battling with, that was in me, in my energetic field, I sent it to the light. The same technique that I shared with in rescinding the vows. I sent it from 3D cross 4D into the light of the 5D. And when I knew I had succeeded in this battle, I just asked the universe, not knowing who I was asking. I just instinctually asked, who was that? And an answer came to me immediately, as if the answerer, the person that was answering the question, was standing right there beside me, waiting for me to ask the question, and immediately answered, Beelzebub. And I asked, how long has he been there? And the next answer, immediately, no hesitation, like we're having this conversation, ask a question, get the answer. The next question was, how long has he been there? The answer was, since you were 3 years old. And I asked, why was he there? It was to keep you in check until you were strong enough spiritually mature enough to expel him, his job was to keep you spiritually in check. And I asked why. And the answer was because you're greater than you ever would ever believe you are. Those were the questions and those were the answers. Now, I'm going to backtrack a bit. I've known for a long time that, well, I think I've shared in a video that Michael Greene used to be a card-carrying asshole. You look at this and you see Michael Greene, and I thought I was Michael Greene. Thought I was Mike Greene. Well, Mike Greene used to be a card-carrying asshole. Seriously. 2 wives prior to Georgianne. I don't want to be your wife anymore. Georgianne eventually told me the same thing, but, you know, that goes with me still being an asshole. I literally watched, well, let me say who it was, and then I'll tell you about what he's done. Now, you can believe this or not, okay? In our multidimensionality, we have a bunch of characters. And all our characters play roles. This, what we experience here in the 3D, is not real. It's not reality. This isn't real. This is a stage. You've heard Shakespeare say, you know, what is it? How does it go? Life is but a stage and we all play a role, something to that effect. All of that's true. We think this linear 3 dimension is real. We think we're the character that we play. We're so deep into the character, we think it's us. We forgot that we set this up, that we chose this role or these roles. I think I shared in the last video, I know for a fact that this isn't what I look like. This is the disguise. This is the makeup that I wear. This is the human suit that I put on to be Michael Greene in the 3rd dimension. This is not who I know, because like I said, I've seen myself, but like I shared in the last video, I'm not going to say because I don't want to freak you out, but I don't look like this. I know for a fact because I've seen me. I've seen others of my kind. We're humanoid, but I don't look like this. And that's okay, because I'm still me. Well, all of our characters in our infinite multidimensionality, we all volunteer to do this. There is no separation. There is no good and bad where we all truly come from in true reality. This is just a stage. These are just roles that we play. And my largest self, one of the roles that I played as the character Michael Greene is I played a born-again Christian for 8 years. And in playing that role, I read and taught the Bible. And I came upon the name Beelzebub. And as far as I know, that's the only place you can come across that name. It's one of the names given in Revelation of the enemy. Satan's another one. Lucifer's another one. There's a bunch of names, but the dark one, the enemy, the classic battle of good and evil, which is only played out in this 3D and the lower octaves of the 4D. Well, I was allowed to go through that period, that role, play that character as the born-again Christian, so that one of the many reasons why I was allowed to do that, or that was my role, was so that when in that now time of driving down the road and having that battle with that, quote, in large quotes, entity, that voluntarily put itself in my field, which I voluntarily allowed it to be there, because I'm not a victim. There are no victims. This is not real. Okay? That was the only place I could find that I ever crossed that name. So I immediately recognized who that was. So then the small me at the time is freaking out. Was I possessed by the devil? By Beelzebub? And the answer was no. The answer was that was an aspect of a larger aspect, or one of the many aspects of my multidimensional self that volunteered to play that role. And the role that he played, and the going by the name Beelzebub, which I never knew all these years, but I was aware of his presence. Back to Mike/Michael Greene being a card carrying asshole. I've watched that being. He was stronger than me. Most of my life, he was stronger than me. Up until that point, he was stronger than me. I remember about a year earlier telling Georgianne about him, where he used to beat up on her all the time, psychologically, not physically, but psychologically beat up on her all the time, even while we were in that quote waking up. You know, it's like he was so strong. He was to the point where, at his discretion, instead of in this vehicle, me moving over to the passenger seat, like with Zeo and Nemish and Atavar, Beelzebub could bound and gag me and toss me in the back seat. As with the other three aspects of my higher dimensional self, I've never left the body. I have always been in this body, aware of here, even aware of the other beings present in the driver's seat. Well, sometimes Beelzebub would throw me in the back seat, bound and gag me, throw me in the back seat, and he'd sit in the driver's seat, and I watch him do dastardly things. Seriously, dastardly things. I watched him literally starve my dog to death. I had a dog named Buster. And when Crystal, my second wife, left, because she was tired of dealing with him, not knowing that it was him, so she just assumed it was me. When she was tired of dealing with him, she took the kids and left, went to my sister's house. So for a period of time, it was just me in the house. We had bought a home, yada, yada, yada. It was just me at home by myself, going to work, me and the dog Buster. Beelzebub would not feed Buster. Would not feed him. Thank God my dog got away. But I sat in the back seat, bound and gagged, as Beelzebub, masquerading as Michael Greene, would get up and go to work every day. It was driving local at the time. Would get up and go to work every day and go to the store and do shit, whatever, pretending to be me, but wasn't me because I was watching him do it. And he would not feed my dog. I watched my dog day by day by day get skinnier and skinnier, just damn near die. And there was nothing I could do about it. So I'm so very grateful that my dog escaped. And I didn't have to bury him. It's really fucked up. Excuse me for a minute, but yeah, that's. So anyway, about a year before his expulsion, excuse me for a minute. About a year before his expulsion, I remember telling Georgianne about him. He had been beating up on her, and we were in the truck, and I was able. He was in the driver's seat because he had been sitting up there beating up on her, psychologically beating up on her, emotionally beating up on her, and I was laying in the bunk, in the body. The body was laying in the bunk. We were both in the body, but whatever. Uh, Somehow I broke free of his control for a moment, and I was able to share Georgianne, I'm so very sorry, but I'm not in here alone. And I phrased it as my evil big brother, is how I described him to Georgianne, my evil big brother. And he does stuff, and for all intents and purposes, it looks like me, but it's not me. And I told her, I'm not alone in here. And I apologized, and she accepted my apology. And then about a year later, after that confession and expression, she literally witnessed me doing, basically, for lack of a better phrase, an exorcism, a self exorcism, at 65 miles an hour behind the wheel of a big truck. But it was, the way I view it, was an expulsion. I expelled it out of my field. And then was informed that it wasn't the enemy. I wasn't possessed all these years. It was a part of my multidimensional selves that volunteered to do that, to play that role, and that I was fully aware of it before I incarnated. The agreement was made before I incarnated. So at 3 years old, at 3 years of incarnating this body, that energy, that aspect of me came in and became my evil big brother. And then we did that dance. There are no enemies. It's only roles that we play here in a 3D. That's what the script looks like. We did all of this. Everybody, we set this up before we got here. When you look around the world, and like I said, I'm a Q follower. I've been a student of the secret government for 40 years. I know the dim guys. I know the dark forces, and their characters playing a role. That's why I don't call them the quote dark forces, all ominous and shit. They too are part of the light. They are just much less light. They may have forgotten, deeply, deeply forgotten, their connection to the light and to all that is, which is why I pray for them. Admonish you to pray for them. Don't hate on them. Just like I said in the last video, if everything is one, if there is only one, if there's only unity consciousness, how can one part of your body hate on another part of your body when it's all part of you, when it's all the same thing? That's the illusion. That's all it is. That's the illusion of the 3D. True reality, there is no enemy. In true reality, there is no duality. In true reality, there is no polarity. In true reality, there are no bad guys. We're all doing this simple. And then you want to ask, well, why in the hell are we doing this? Because all that is experiencing all that is. And all of us, as an infinite, integral part of all that is why we're doing what we're doing. We, every one of us, are all that is, experiencing all that is. There is no separation. There are no good guys and bad guys. Like I hear people, oh, 5G, don't, be scared of this, be scared of that. No, it's all part of the stage. It's all part of the game. If you can get to the place in consciousness where you know, not understand mentally, but know in your knowing, in your high heart chakra, if you can know in your knowing that you are one with all that is, none of this matters because this is not true reality. If you left this body tomorrow, quote, died, if I left this body tomorrow, quote, died, had a quote, accident, or just didn't wake up tomorrow morning, I don't cease to exist. You don't cease to exist. Your character will. The character that you're playing and have played for X amount of years, it'll just be written out of the story. But guess what? The story keeps going. Isn't that true? Any story you watch on TV, if a character gets written out of the story, that doesn't end the story. Hell, Marvel Comics, Infinity War, Endgame, Iron Man died. And he's one of the guys that started the Avengers. He was one of the first, him and Captain America. Iron Man died. But the story didn't end. The other characters are still there. They're still doing their next when they wake up the next day. The world doesn't end. It's all a story. This is all a play. This is all an illusion. This is not real. This is not true reality. My point is, you cannot be possessed. That's the point of this whole talk, is you cannot be possessed. Depending on your perspective that you're emanating from and that you're viewing reality from, you may choose to believe that, and that's your divine sovereign right. But I'm telling you from the big story, and having experienced it personally, I don't make shit up, and I don't tell you somebody else's perspective unless it's hilarious, who emanates from the 10th dimension and has never incarnated in a third dimensional body. So if he tells me something, I'm going to take it to the bank. But anybody else, third dimensionally, I don't tell you other people's perspectives. I don't read other people's books. I tell you my story. I base my knowledge on experience. I was thinking of this morning when I was thinking about this talk. Knowledge is experiential. I've known that, and I've coined, I don't know if I coined the phrase initially, but it's a phrase that I've been using since I've been awake. Knowledge is experiential. Somebody can tell you something, I can tell you something, and I can say to you, I'm blue in the face. And all it is hearsay, book knowledge, head knowledge. Until you personally experience it and embody it, now it's yours. And nobody can take it away from you. Which is why I only speak from either hilarious or my personal experiences. All the stuff that I've shared with you so far, all the multidimensional experiences I've shared, the voices in my head, from a certain perspective, I ought to be committed. Because from a certain perspective, I sound like I'm absolutely batshit crazy. But I'm not. From the perspective I choose to view my reality from, this is just the way that it is. For me. And I can still do everything in the 3D that you may do. If this is all you choose, I know how to pay bills. I know how to pay taxes. I know how to grocery shop. I just got finished cleaning my bathroom, scrubbing because I keep my bathroom clean because my parents didn't raise slobs. I said that in the last video. I know how to do 3D shit. Hell, I drove a big truck for 32 years. If it wasn't for the loss of my eyesight, my right eye, or my eyesight being recalibrated, I'd still be driving. Probably not a big truck, but I'd still have a driver's license. But due to the calibration of my right eye, I don't see well enough to get behind. I really actually can drive. I see well enough to drive. I'm just not, it's not worth it. If I have an accident because I don't see on this side, but I see well enough out of here to drive and get behind the wheel, but it's just not worth it. Plus, I'm retired and I'm enjoying retirement. This is the next stage in my life. This is the new chapter. So anyway, I'm gonna leave this here. Bottom line is, everything depends on where you view it from. What frequency, what position in consciousness, and in my position in consciousness, the frequency, the reality I choose to view reality at, the big story, no, you can't be possessed. And I have people argue with me till they're blue in the face. And I've had people come at me hard about it. Yeah, I know for sure. Well, in your reality, that might be true. Not in mine. And there's an infinite amount of realities. Which one do you choose to view and emanate from? Love you all. Blessings on your journey. And I will talk to you soon. Bye-bye.